Oopsie. Oopsie. No, I don't want to know about meditation. Crap-a-doodle. All right, my friends. Ooh. Hi, everybody. God, can you believe that we have made it this far? Hi. Hello, Millicent. Hello, Steve. Ah, Jesus. I am dropping, and I don't have a very good wire system set up right now. So I'm kicking stuff. It's late for you guys, Steve. It's like midnight out in Halifax. Out in a boat in Halifax. Good evening, everybody. Ashley, how are you? Millicent, how are you? Can you believe that we have made it to December 25th, the evening? Like, we're almost done this month. Can you believe it? I actually cannot believe that we are done. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Wendy. I'm just bringing the table a little closer here. Welcome, everybody. It's Christmas night. Just don't want... That's why I wear my contacts, because I've got the glare. But you know what? It's freaking Christmas Day. And I have... Yeah. You got it. It is the same pajamas, the same everything. I have not changed out of my pajamas, and I feel no guilt about that whatsoever. That is right, my friend. No wonder I can't see out of my glasses. They're filthy. I'm going to try to just clean them right now. While I'm on live with you. Oh, yes. Hello, everybody. Hi, Wendy. Well, we made it. Almost. It's 8 o'clock on Christmas night. And I don't know about you, but we have had our fill of cauliflower steak for our Christmas dinner. Yes, you got it. And don't judge until you've eaten it, because, man, it was delicious. And I am full, and it was rich, and it was filling. Okay, my glasses are not getting any better, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is the awkward time in our programming where I am going to read us a story. Yes, I am, and I have no idea what this is going to look like. I am stepping outside of my comfort zone. If you're watching on the replay, hello and welcome. There are absolutely no guarantees on the quality of this program. Of course. So, I bought a book called The Last Christmas, and I'm just going to read the back. And there's contributing authors here. And as you can see, there's Graham Norton, Stephen Fry, Meryl Streep, Olivia Colman, Bill Bailey, Emilia Clarke, Caitlin Moran, people who have been homeless, political refugees, and many others. So I haven't read anything in the book. I just kind of went through a couple of names in the back here, and I found a guy who is a comedian. And I thought, I'm going to play it safe and start with a comedian, because I honestly, I've never, you know me, I'm all shits and giggles. I'm all over the place. So this is a little bit of a step into, I'm freaking going to read to people. So hopefully my grade 7 education will carry me through. I'm kidding. And I'm going to read Bill Bailey. So I'll actually read you the back of the book and tell you what this is. So this is a perfect gift for anyone who loves all things Christmas. And I do. And this is a festive gem. Woman and Home. This book is a gathering of voices. Some you'll have heard of before, some you won't. Of actors, comedians, people who have been homeless, refugees, charity workers, even a vicar and a beautician, not the same person, from all corners of the world. They have written their personal memories of past Christmases and hopes for future ones. The result is a collection of remarkable stories which remind us that we are all essentially the same. No matter who we are or where we find ourselves, we share the same dreams. We have the same desires. We want, even more than traditional presents, the giving and receiving of care and hope and love. So I picked a comedian because that seemed to be within my comfort zone. And I don't know if you've heard of Bill Bailey before, but his little biography states, Bill Bailey is a comedian, actor, musician, and writer. Best known for his live shows and work on television programs, Never Mind the Buzzcocks and QI. I don't know either, my friends. He also is the author of Bill Bailey's Remarkable Guide to British Birds. And he lives in West London with a small menagerie of animals and humans. So let's dig into Bill Bailey. These are only short. They're only a couple pages long. And let's dig into Bill Bailey's Christmas and see what happens. And again, no offense, if this is utterly uncomfortable for either one of us, feel free to leave. I am just going to read here. I promised, this is what I promised. This was all my instinct. So, hi, Joan. Merry Christmas. Cheers. So, I'm just going to read Bill Bailey's Memories of Christmas. Sit back, won't you, and put your feet up. Let me do the work for you. My childhood memories of Christmas are like snapshots from an array of traditional festive cards. A robin perched on a spade, leaning against a shed, or a Christmas tree festooned with lights and shiny baubles. This was due in part to our kitchen garden, well kept by my grandparents who lived with us, and to my parents, especially my mother, who embraced Christmas with such twinkly-eyed enthusiasm you couldn't help but be carried along with it. She loved cooking and entertaining. Her endless generosity was allowed free rein, and her strong faith was reaffirmed. She was truly in her element at Christmas, the life and the soul, presiding over a large throng of aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins, and various odd neighbors, many wearing paper hats, and all a little flushed and in high spirits. Often, we could barely fit into the dining room and would be crammed in around several tables of differing heights, causing gravy boats to pitch alarmingly if they were slid across the tablecloth. My father was the GP of a rural practice, so Christmas in our house often meant gifts from patients. As a small child, I would sometimes open the door to find a whiskery-faced farmer holding a brace of recently shot pheasant. I'm going to try that sentence again. Hi, Allison. Gather the kids around and watch me totally make a debacle of these Christmas stories. I'm going to try that sentence again. As a small child, I would sometimes open the door to find a whiskery-faced farmer holding a brace of recently shot pheasant aloft, declaring, "For the doctor!" Why do I see rich in that sentence? One of my many aunts worked for the Forestry Commission and would provide us with a Christmas tree every year. I think she was able to get us one free, or at least a substantial discount, as these freaks were the odd, misshapen trees that presumably they couldn't sell. For years, I thought that we had the coolest trees, enormously spindly truffids with barely any branches, or round, bushy shrubs that would barely fit into the lounge. Even now, I find the regulation, the perfectly shaped Christmas tree, a bit dull. Our default tree these days is an artificial one that's realistic in so many ways, except that it's upside down. After I've assembled it, I usually bend out a few branches at a crazy angle just for old time's sake. Some of my fondest memories of my mother are when we used to make Christmas decorations together. One year, I unwisely went solo, and the result was a disaster. With large, quantities of glue, and a lot of tongue-out concentration, I produced a Christmas greeting banner consisting of individual letters, each one drawn and colored on a piece of card, attached to string and then hung over the hallway. One side said Merry Christmas and the other was meant to say, and a Happy New Year. But I'd made a fundamental error. I'd glued one set of the letters on the wrong way. So when I hung it up, it read Merry Christmas on one side and Rary Wen Yappy Aniday on the other. I was heartbroken, but my parents persuaded me to leave it up, partly because I think they felt bad after I'd gone to all that effort, but mainly for their own amusement. In the end, no one seemed to notice. Relatives came and went under the banner without comment, perhaps thinking it was an old Welsh blessing. As I got older and into my teens, I realized other Christmases were available and spent them with friends and latterly girlfriends. It meant that my own family Christmas was never quite the same. I felt that somehow I'd outgrown it. And those childhood days were gone, and with it, those rosy, traditional versions of Christmas. I thought that with bold certainty of youth, that it was time to make my own Christmases from now on. For many years after that, through my 20s and 30s, I often found myself far from home at this homecoming time of year. On one such occasion was during a trek across Seram Island in Indonesia, in the eastern Moluccas, an area known as Maluku. Oh, sure, Arthur. Maluku, the original Spice Islands. Hi, everybody who's joining. After an exhausting day's hike, we were greeted by dozens of kids who laughed and shrieked in wonder at these strange, bedraggled creatures who had emerged from the forest and who were now shuffling up their main street of well-tended gardens enclosed by wooden fences. That evening, we were invited to the headman's hut. And as there was no electricity, our way was lit by puttering oil lamps. Outside, a young boy was singing quietly and strumming on a guitar. Despite the remote and exotic location, the song seemed familiar, and we soon realized it was Silent Night. Many Indonesian villages in Maluku are Christian, so at that time of year it made sense that he would be singing a traditional carol. The boy was playing beautifully despite the fact that the guitar only had 2 strings. I suddenly felt that I hadn't brought any spare guitar strings. I suddenly felt bad that I hadn't brought any spare guitar strings. But it hadn't been on my list of hiking essentials. I always take them now. He was singing softly in front of what looked like a huge Christmas tree festooned, there's that word again, with twinkling lights. The whole scene was so strange and enchanting, it took us a while to figure it out. There was no electricity in this village. How could there be lights? Then we realized this Christmas tree was actually illuminated by fireflies. I've seen some extraordinary things. I've dived with great manta rays. I've swum with dolphins in the warm sea of the Indian Ocean. I've seen falafels being made by hand on the streets of Hammersmith, but it's hard to recall something as beautiful as that night in Kaneka, as 1,000,000 fireflies flickered in the blue-black tropical darkness, while the soft strains of Silent Night quivered in the sultry air. In recent times, my Christmas appears to have come full circle. My wife and I host a large throng of relatives, friends, and odd neighbors. Paper hats are worn, songs are sung, mandolins, fiddles, and guitars are brought out, and there is much foot stamping and some whooping. I caught my dad's eye one year, and he laughed and sang, a paper hat slightly askew. We smiled at each other, and as we shared a moment of Christmas long past. We have for many years dispensed with the gift giving. I know it sounds a little Scrooge-like, but honestly, it has been a blessed relief. I always found it a bit awkward anyway. Now, to all our invited guests, we say, just bring a jokey present for under the tree. I was delighted to recently discover that we are just continuing an old tradition. During the festival of Saturnalia, the ancient Romans exchanged gag gifts in the form of small figurines made of wax or pottery. Ours tends to be wind-up teeth and books like how to keep chinchillas. But who thought, but the thoughts, still the same. I agree with the poet Catullus, who called this time the best of days. Christmas these days is often characterized as having lost its meaning and become a gaudy, glittering, snowflake-encrusted spend-a-thon, the primary gift-giving period in marketing speak. I'm not a religious or a churchgoer, but I can't deny the enduring power of the Christian celebration. I find comfort in the traditions and the rituals, and the way it gently leads us to consider Christmas as a time to pause and reflect. In the future, of course, all this will be different. He didn't even know half of it. The primary gifting period will be turbocharged by smart tech. Our OLED glass programmable decorations will be oscillated remotely by our phones. Children wearing VR headsets will drive reindeer on a sleigh ride over the northern lights, while drones buzz overhead dispensing gifts down our Christmas chutes. Holograms of relatives will appear in far-away living rooms to dance and join in family revels. Lord, preserve us. Who knows, though, there may even be a turning away from such tech and rampant consumerism. I detect already a fatigue with all of that, a yearning for a simpler way of being, a longing for old stories that have simple, timeless messages. Increasingly, life gallops along to make sense of it all. You need to hold on to a few moments, and whatever you think about Christmas, it often gives us the very things aplenty. The undiluted thrill of getting my first bike, seeing the glorious wonderment on our son's face at his first Christmas, watching the whole family, young and old, eyes closed in full voice, singing together on Christmas Day, a million fireflies dancing in the dark. So that is Bill Bailey's story. I'm going to pick somebody else here. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Let's look. You know what? I've been sort of going through the biographies and going from there. Let's see. So Dr. Michael Krasinski is a trauma and psychosocial specialist based in London, but working internationally with survivors of torture, human trafficking, and other forms of human cruelty. He also advises police and lawyers in criminal justice sector and enjoys collaboration with other professionals. Let's read his story. Dr. Michael Krasinski, or something like that. Hold on, Dr. Michael. Where's Dr. Michael? I think these names are alphabetical. Yeah, so he's 141. So let's read his Christmas story. And again, these stories are pretty short, so here we go. The other day, Hi, Bev. The other day I asked my sister what she remembers most about Christmas. Her unhesitating answer, ritual humiliation. Childhood memories can feel like dreams shrouded in mists that appear in the distance and change shape with time. But sometimes they are a crack of thunder that blasts through the sky. Uncle Hank was that unmistakable crack of thunder. He continues to rumble through Christmas past, but the fury of the storm we once weathered as children has long since blown itself out. Mellowed from our adult perspective, with humor and continuing astonishment that someone could be that mean-spirited and sarcastic on the most hallowed of all days in the Christian calendar, albeit for us hallowed by the candy. Uncle Hank was married to my Aunt Rita, my father's sister. Every year they would arrive for Christmas Day lunch and the ritual would begin. He would greet my grandmother, "Merry Christmas, Catherine." Uncle Hank pronounced my grandmother's name in a dulcet descending pitch of contempt and superiority. "Merry Christmas, Catherine." I'm just doing that now. The spacing of vowels and consonants laced with venom in the form of a smile and pseudo-respect. To my grandmother, being called by her first name by anyone in the family other than her husband was disrespectful. Doing so risked her ire, and Uncle Hank knew it. "Catherine, would you pass the potatoes, please?" "Thank you, Catherine." It was relentless. "Catherine, would you like a drink?" My grandmother did not drink. Catherine was a sledgehammer at the end of every sentence. My grandmother would always be fuming, her glass eye on the verge of popping out of her head. The turkey inevitably suffered the consequences of her rage. It was burnt to a crisp in the all-consuming fires of her oven. At the height of the Vietnam War, it was my father's lefty-leaning anti-war stance that became the target. Uncle Hank did not serve in the Second World War. Pop was 18 when he bore witness to the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Soon after the atomic bombs had been dropped, he remained haunted by the war in ways that took him 75 years to understand. And only now, at 95, does he finally feel a bit more free. Uncle Hank had a morbid fascination with war films. He spent endless hours watching his war porn in the basement of his house on his big screen television. In his mind, this made him an expert. Uncle Hank would segue from war into grossly inappropriate remarks imbued with sexual innuendo about my sister's Christmas dresses. It got worse with every glass of Harvey's Bristol cream. My mother had grown up in a family ravaged by alcohol. Feeling abandoned and terrified most of the time, her only refuge, her upstairs neighbor who did her best to protect her when the alcohol-fueled madness that laid siege to her family became too much. This was the nightmare of Christmas past, doing a smash and grab raid in the present. Ooh, I like the way this is written. My mom did her best to diffuse and deflect the worst of Uncle Hank's remarks with uncomfortable laughter and futile attempts to redirect conversation. Her efforts only served to stoke the fires of whatever narrative Uncle Hank was pursuing at that moment. Aunt Rita would giggle. "Oh, Hank." My tubby older brother was not spared. Fat jokes rained down on him. I was too young to remember, but my sister always said that when, age 6, he first met Uncle Hank, he punched him right in the nuts and ran away. Kids have a way of getting to the point. My brother was always more direct than me, and even as a child, he had excellent instincts about people. When I grew up, I asked my mom, why didn't she ban Uncle Hank? She said in those days it was all about family. If she had banished Uncle Hank, it would have severed the connection between my aunt and her parents. My mother could not abandon my aunt. The least she could do was meet for the occasional cup of tea and for Christmas lunch. Uncle Hank was my godfather. I had no idea what that meant other than if my parents passed away, he was supposed to take care of me. With Uncle Hank looming in the background, I prayed hard that my parents did not die, not the only reason. In the meantime, I did my best to avoid him. I learned to dodge, duck, dive, and weave between the onslaughts. Maybe it was because I was unwell as a child and the youngest in the family of people bigger and stronger than me that I learned the importance of movement. My mother recently told me, "You danced with Uncle Hank." I asked her what she meant. You matched his steps move for move. It was something special to watch. No matter what he did, you danced your way through those crazy Christmas dinners at Grandma's house like no one else. Uncle Hank's ritual Christmas Day shit thrower spared no one. Nonetheless, I choked down my dried out turkey leg with a singularity of purpose that transported me to a place of pure Christmas bliss. No matter how burnt and dried out the bird, with the right amount of gravy, stuffing, and ketchup, it was heavenly. Despite Uncle Hank's best efforts, my grandmother's love was baked into every bite. My brothers, sisters, and I reveled in each other's company. My grandmother's house was built in the middle of my father's car lot. He was a used car dealer in New Jersey and would let us drive a 3-wheeled mail cart he had purchased so we could learn to drive. We would dash from the dining room table, keys in hand, each one of us wanting to be the first to take a spin. We would joke, laugh, fight, and tease each other. Uncle Hank's taunts, from the irritating to the humiliating, receded into the background, drowned out by our laughter as we made the next loop around the dealership car lot. As we grew older and my grandparents passed away, so did the imperative to gather together as a family. My siblings and I were going our separate ways. No one wanted to face Uncle Hank one-on-one. As children, we were vulnerable, but as siblings, we had a power that we could not summon up alone. Was that Uncle Hank's Christmas present to us? Wrapped and packaged with insults and sarcasm, Uncle Hank gifted us with the knowledge that we would survive his Christmas shitstorm if we stuck together. We were stronger than when we were together than when we were alone. We found shelter and joy in each other's company and a bond that Uncle Hank, despite his best efforts, could not break. It was the best Christmas gift ever and one we all value to this day. Thank you, Uncle Hank. Merry Christmas. Please pass the ketchup. Well, there's a couple Christmas stories. Wasn't that fun? What time is it, babe?
Just right on time.
Oh my God, and it's right on time. You know, my spidey instincts kick in, and that is Christmas reading time. So, those are really interesting stories. I like stories that are short and to the point. It was fun. I didn't feel too terribly awkward, so thank you so much. And, you know, it's been lovely to spend the day with you and this time with you. I still have a week of Christmas lives yet. If you didn't watch my earlier live, I did an impromptu live. I did a preview of things to come. I have self-care day coming up. I have some more crafts to do, not Christmas crafts. I bought a paint by number. We're going to be cooking again. It's never ending. And tomorrow, again, stay tuned. I don't really know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I might just go right into self-care day. And, oh, Wendy, Merry Christmas. And Kathy, Merry Christmas. And, yeah, we've gotten through Christmas Day. Day 25 of December is done. Done, and done. I've stayed in my pajamas all day. I've enjoyed many sweets and cookies. We had a wonderful cauliflower steak dinner. I had Zoom time with my family and with my friends. My blessings are overwhelming, and I count upon my blessings. Time spent here with you. Thank you so much for having me in your home and putting up with whatever shit I'm putting out. I really appreciate it. And I love you all. I'll have something for you tomorrow. I don't know what I'm quite doing yet for tomorrow. I'm going to play it by ear. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm just going to wake up without a plan. First time in 25 days, I don't have a plan for my next day's live. Oh, Wendy, thank you. So is mine. Thank you so much for joining me. Christmas Day coming to a close here. Graham and I are going to finish watching Die Hard. Probably eat a couple more sweets. Maybe have a little bit more wine. Cheers to you all. I wish you all a good night. I'll see you tomorrow because we're not done until December 31st. Good night.